More and more momentum is building behind the idea that the San Antonio Spurs can win the NBA Finals this year. I made a video about a month ago where I basically made these tiers, didn't include the Spurs in the tier that I said could win it all. And then they've just gone on this crazy run. And it has resulted in me rethinking my take. And I continue to ask myself, is Victor Wembanyama so unique and so special that he can just skip the steps that we've seen every great player and team go through? Like, you have to have playoff scars. It is evident in the history of the NBA. LeBron took him a while to make his first NBA Finals. Michael Jordan obviously had to go through the Pistons, and so on. Like, you look at every major star throughout the history of the NBA that went on to win titles, they all have to go through something. Even the Oklahoma City Thunder team that won it all last year, the youngest team in the history of the NBA to win the NBA Finals, they have that series against the Mavericks the year prior in the 2024 NBA playoffs. And then you look at the Spurs roster, and they don't have anything like that anywhere on their roster. Harrison Barnes, sure, won a title in Golden State, but he's playing less and less. Luke Cornett obviously won a title with the Boston Celtics. Those are the only two guys who have any real legitimate playoff experience. Everyone else has little to none. And look, if Victor Wembanyama had joined a team filled with veterans, then it would be very easy to be like, yeah, his team's going to win the finals this year because he's that impactful. But you have to keep in mind that Devin Vassell and Dylan Harper and Wemby and Carter Bryant, who I really like, by the way, I like that the Spurs are playing him more and more here as of late, Stephon Castle, Keldon Johnson, and Julian Champagnie. The Spurs' top 6 leading scorers are all in this list, by the way. They have all combined to play 0 NBA playoff minutes. And I don't like the idea of picking a team that inexperienced to beat the best teams in the world 4 straight series. And then you throw in the fact that in order to win the NBA Finals, you're probably going to have to beat Oklahoma City at some point. And I get it. The Spurs are 4-1 against the Thunder during the regular season. They're still the defending champs. And winning a 7-game series is very different than winning a one-off regular season game. And Denver, who I know isn't playing very well right now, the Spurs may actually beat them tonight without Wemby. Still, they're the Nuggets. It's really hard to pick against Jokic in a 7-game series. Okay? Anyway, the other thing about San Antonio that I find concerning, I don't think they're a great shooting team. They're 16th in the NBA in three-point percentage. Devin Vassell and Champagnie are really the only two guys on the Spurs that when they shoot it, I expect for it to go in. I know Keldon Johnson shooting 38% from 3 on the year, but he's only doing it on like 3 attempts per game. Like, that's pretty low volume, right? So they are an inexperienced team that is not a great shooting team. I don't like that. But they have 2 things that I can't ignore. Since January 1st, they have the best net rating of any team in the Western Conference. They have the 4th best net rating of any team in the NBA. Now, that's not like an end-all be-all because obviously teams have, guys that get hurt and miss games, and that obviously impacts it. But we've seen the past 2 years, Mavericks, Pacers, teams after January 1st, like that's when you kind of figure out who's really good and who isn't. And the Spurs being 4th in the NBA in net rating, best team in the Western Conference since the start of 2026, obviously says that they're playing well enough right now to win the NBA Finals. They also have Victor Wembanyama, who is not only capable of being the best player on any given night, but he's already mastered the thing that every superstar that is capable of winning a title must master. Even if Wemby has a bad shooting night, he's going to be the most impactful player in the game because of how he defends. And we see this with every superstar, again, that's good enough to win a title. Jokic, if he has a bad shooting night, then he's going to turn the tide with how he rebounds and with his passing. If SGA has a bad shooting night, he's going to turn the tide of the game with his passing and his ability to force turnovers. He plays the passing lanes really well. If Cade Cunningham has a bad shooting night, then he's going to make up for it with his defense and the way that he passes the basketball, and so on, right? And Wemby's defense is always going to be capable of swinging a game. Like, Wemby, and this just speaks to how unique he is, he can score 12 points on like 3 of 15 shooting, but still be the best player in the game because of what he brings defensively. And when he's hanging around the rim, he makes every shot within 10 feet a bad shot, which is just incredibly unique, right? And obviously, he's so athletic, he can defend the rim, and then he can get a good contest on a corner three, all in the same possession. He's the best big in the NBA at defending the pick and roll. He can guard every position. Okay, like, you already know all of this. And it just doesn't matter if he has a bad offensive series, because you know that he's going to be the most impactful defender, period. Like, he's already the best defender in the history of basketball. I have no problem saying that whatsoever. And so is that enough for the Spurs to skip every step that we've seen great teams and great players have to go through? I don't think it is. I'm still not picking them to win the title. But it would be insane of me to hold the same opinion that I held a month ago when I said that they weren't good enough to win the NBA Finals. With how they're playing right now, how good they've been offensively, after, January 1st, like, they are more than good enough to win the finals. I just still think that until I see a team win the finals without having the required playoff scars, I'm going to continue to think that those scars are required. But if any team was going to overcome that narrative, it's this Spurs team, I have no doubt.